So I think another way is that we wound each other with our words.
So this shows you, like, communication's huge in marriage.
Huge.
Because
yes.
you can hurt each other, but in just these nonverbal ways sometimes, and tones of voice, but then also
verbally.
Yeah,
right?
words
With
can
like
hurt you.
name calling.
Ooh, please don't name call.
Don't name call each other. That's
verbal
never
abuse.
okay. What about public embarrassment?
I have seen
This is-
men and women just completely melt in public, and not in a good way.
No.
Like, they just sigh when they're publicly humiliated
Yeah.
or embarrassed
Yeah.
in front of a group of people. Oh, it's hard to recover from that.
It's a pet peeve of mine for sure when you take the opportunity to dig on someone in public like that. Just rubs me the wrong way, man.
Comparing your spouse to someone else to their face. Well, if you were more like so-and-so, or I wish you were handy like this person, or I wish you knew the word like this person, or I wish you did that.
Yeah.
Wish you could cook like this person.
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Where are you coming from, man? Is that personal? Just kidding.
You're a great cook.
Thank you. I think another one is what you don't say. So withholding affirmation, right? Like, I have the opportunity to build you up, or I saw something you did and I appreciated it, but maybe I intentionally withhold it from you because I feel like you don't deserve it.
Ooh.
Or I just don't say it because I'm so preoccupied in my own thoughts.
And men, we got to get better at this, because a lot of times we'll notice something about our wives and be like, man, I really appreciate that,
Sure.
but we just don't verbalize it.
Yeah.
And I think the more we can learn to do that, the more affirming. But those are things that we do that hurt each other, unintentionally, sometimes intentionally in our marriage.
Yeah.
What else?
Neglecting each other and creating some emotional distance there. So this looks like a lot of things. This looks like prioritizing things other than each other, which, guys, just before we keep going, we have all been guilty of these at some
Right.
point,
Yeah.
right? These
Try
are
to
things,
think of which ones you've been guilty of.
right? Because self-awareness is what's going to help you overcome these things.
And it's easy to look at this list, listen to this list, and say, oh, my spouse does that.
He
my
does that
spouse
all
does
the
that."
time.
What about you? Look at this from your own lens. Like,
Right.
how are you doing in this regard of prioritizing other things, everything but your husband, or everything but your wife?
Yeah.
What about emotional withdrawal?
Yes, for sure.
You know, just shutting down, or not being loving or affirming to one another.
Absolutely. And I think along with that is just that lack of appreciation, right? It goes along with withholding your words, but sometimes appreciation can be without words too. Like, you're a physical touch guy. If I just put my hand on your shoulder, sometimes it makes you feel loved. So I think those are some things. There's also
Our mindset in that is
Yes.
important too when it comes to appreciation. Is sometimes, like, you'll be doing dishes, or your spouse left dishes in the sink, or they didn't pick up their clothes, and it could be easy to see that as a flaw. Or you could choose to say, you know what do I appreciate about my spouse? Well, they're going to work. That's probably why they didn't have time to, grab that dish, or, they've got so much on their mind. They're doing so much for the family, so much moving this family forward. That's why, and appreciating some of those things instead of looking at the flaws with a bad attitude.
That's so good. And we could camp there for like a really long time, right? Because sometimes that takes mental gymnastics is what I like to call it, because you choose that and your gut reaction is not always the right thing.
Yes.
Right?
So what else? What else do we do to unintentionally to each other that just cause us to lack grace for one another?
Well, I think anything that breaks trust in that relationship is a big deal. So lying is a huge one.
Flirting with someone other than your spouse.
Big no. Yeah.
Secret spending.
Ooh, guys, if there's an account, if there's a credit card, if there's a big old Marshall's bag in your trunk that maybe you didn't have the budget for, those are all things that can accumulate and break trust, right? Broken promises too. That's a
promises.
big one.
Don't use the word promise unless you're serious, unless you're going to come through, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
Absolutely.
big. What about everyday annoyances? Then there's just like the little annoyances that just add up
million
every
little
day
things.
that kind of hurt us. What are some of those?
The first thing that comes to my mind is like household chores. If things are not, you don't feel like they're divided equally, that can leave room for a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
Right?
I think bickering and criticizing each other and just bickering back and forth. I think those little everyday things add up, create
Yeah.
annoyance over time.
Yep.
Making it harder to show grace. What else?
When one person is not like you can't have, leadership, all that kind of stuff in your home, but if the decision making in the relationship is very unbalanced, that can cause a lot of resentment. That
Right.
can cause a lot of unintentional hurt wounds. Yeah.
Neglect. I think when we neglect our spouses, and it's easy to do. Well, I got kids, or I'm working, or we got all this stuff going on, and it's easy to neglect each other. But that neglect adds up over time.
adds up.
That's when people start looking to other places to get affirmation.